A dangerous virus is spreading rapidly in China.
The world is trying to work out. Coronavirus, or rather the reaction to coronavirus, has paralysed areas in China. Steps to isolate Wuhan and other major cities affected.
Identified the cause of the mysterious pneumonia outbreak in Wuhan city, and it's from the same family that caused the deadly SARS epidemic 17 years ago.
Hey, hi John. Yes, I'm watching. hmm Really? And what do the NIH guys want? hmm I know we have that research on the corona spikes. Okay, I can come in right away. It was impossible to know what the whole world was going to face as I went into the lab that day. At this point, we had already been working on this for years. For me, it started 6 years ago. And for so many years, for so many others involved on a corona vaccine. I love this kind of research. This has been all my life's work. I got a scholarship to one of the top universities in structural biology. And for my thesis, I worked out a structure of a part of the coronavirus. Not this one, but MERS. And then I came over to the States to work with a team at Dartmouth. This was almost 6 years ago. We wanted to make a vaccine for MERS. And one of the things that we were trying to figure out back then was how to make copies of the tiny spikes that were all over the surface of the MERS coronavirus. If you could just make the spikes without a deadly virus attached to it, maybe we could train our immune system to fight it. But it turned out to be damn hard to make those spikes in the lab. We spent a long time trying to stabilize them, add something, tweak the genetic code, try and try again. There's a tedium to it. Each try takes a while. We did it for years. That's kind of the life of a scientist. And when we finally cracked it, the day it worked, it was really exciting. We wanted to publish it. We tried many different journals. It was rejected so many times. It was like no one cared. As I look back, it was sad getting so many rejections. I fell into a depression. No one really seemed to see the value of our work. This was 2017. The pandemic was still 3 years away. Back then, most people thought the next big thing was going to be some sort of a flu, not a coronavirus. This, of course, is the argument for funding lots of basic research. Sometimes you don't know what's going to be important.
Desperate new measures in some states to slow the spread of the coronavirus. As you can see, we are heading in the wrong direction, and we are heading there very fast.
In California, notoriously busy highways are nearly empty. The hustle and bustle of New York is at a standstill. Governors in
It's worth pointing out, we were running full steam at this in January. This is before Wuhan went into lockdown, before that giant hospital got built. The whole thing was barely in the news. And life here was totally normal. We were all going to the lab to work frantically on this thing, while all around us, people were going to restaurants, church, the mall, kids were in school. The big thing we had to work out was what part of the genetic sequence for this coronavirus were we going to stick in the vaccine to make it work. 5 days after we got that phone call, Chinese researchers posted the genetic code for the new coronavirus online, so teams around the world could look at it. It took us an hour maybe. That's because the spikes on this coronavirus, it was very, very similar to the one on MERS, the one we had been studying all along.
Across the country, nursing homes have been hit hard during this pandemic. According to new data, 1 out of every 3 COVID deaths is a nursing home resident or worker. Here now to share what one company is doing to make a difference in their assisted living facilities is the chief compliance.
It's often noted that these vaccines came together really quickly. But the reason they came together really quickly is because of all the work that went on for years before. It's not like it happened in days. It took more than a decade.
93,000 Americans, 93,000 are in the hospital with COVID. Tonight, hospital staff's overwhelmed. And as I mentioned at the top tonight, New York's governor warning.
And meanwhile, the coronavirus kept spreading in the US. Or as the president called it, the Kung flu, the China virus. I do have some feelings about that. The president should not have said that. I'm pretty angry about it. I think it makes no sense. There was a story in the news back then about how the FBI was looking into spies who had tried to steal the vaccine research. There were reports that they were going to question me. In the end, no one came, but it was unnerving. The last few years, with all the self-doubt over my research and all the questions about the science, has been a lot to go through.
Next Squawk Box, everybody. We have some breaking news from Pfizer. Meg Terrell joins us right now. Meg, good morning.
What could be a potential breakthrough in the battle against
Becky,
COVID?
this is the news that we've been waiting to hear. Pfizer and BioNTech reporting the first results from their phase 3 vaccine trial.
UK, the first country to give emergency approval.
I've been right here in my home office for the last 10 months. So there I was when the call came. Apparently, their board had met earlier in the day and they were going to put out a press release. And it looks like it's going to work. That kind of released a lot of emotion that I think I've been holding back for the last 10 months. Countless teams in my lab, countless teams in other labs, and all the pharma companies, with the president calling them names, questioning their dedication, questioning the dedication of the healthcare professionals. And so I retreated back into my office, just to kind of let it all out for a few minutes. But the moment kind of caught me by surprise. There was so much in there to come out. It's just a relief to know that you've gotten to that point. Because in vaccine development, there are thousands of choices to make, thousands of decisions, thousands of ways to fail. And most of these projects don't turn out well. And then, to get through it all, to get an answer that it worked even better than you expected, that was quite a moment. As the year ended, it is still not clear what time has in store for us. But science has given us hope, and in science we must trust.